Now, it has been 10 years since Tim Peake made history, becoming the first British astronaut to visit the International Space Station. And now he's taking off once again, but closer to home. This time it'll be a new tour around the UK, all about the world of space exploration. And I'm glad to say that he joins me now. It's absolutely wonderful to see you. And it's such a remarkable thing when we say history-making, the first British man. You know, do these things still make you pinch yourself, or are you now just, yeah, that's me?
Oh, it's incredible. I think about, space on a daily basis, and there's so much happening at the moment as well. It's a really exciting time. So, no, I absolutely love it.
And you're going on tour, and you've done a tour before, haven't you? But this is quite different, isn't it? Tell us what people can expect, because it starts on Monday.
It does start on Monday, heading up to Inverness on Sunday. Really looking forward to it. This is 28 venues around the UK, so we're going to be meeting thousands of people. And it's really, I mentioned there's so much happening in space at the moment. We just had a successful mission yesterday with the SpaceX Starship rocket, which is going to help us get back to the moon. And that's a precursor for going on to Mars. So it felt like the right time to be telling the story of space about... And
you're telling a lot of inside sort of... I'm going to say behind the scenes, but you know what I mean. You're sort of telling the story behind the headlines, essentially. Absolutely. About how it really is.
Absolutely. It's about where we've come from, where we're going to, but it's the kind of astronauts look at it.
The sort of human story as well as the science. The human story,
the humour, the behind the scenes, the things that you may not have known about, some of the drama, the emergencies, the Mir space station, the shuttle era, and, of course, looking at the Apollo landings and, driving around on moon buggies and how we got there and how we're going to do it differently next time.
And, of course, previously you've done sort of about your personal story, but you've got so many stories from all your astronaut colleagues, yes, of all of their dramas, and you're bringing all of those stories in, aren't you, to this one? Can you give us a sort of one of your favourites, or what, a hint of sort of one of the strange things that we might not associate with what it takes to do the job you do?
Gosh, well, here's a random one, but the first female to do a spacewalk was actually Svetlana Savitskaya, and one thing that she was asked to do out there was to try out this universal hand tool that was for cutting and soldering and welding. And these are things we would never dream of doing today out on a spacewalk. I mean, incredibly dangerous. If you just cut a hole in your spacesuit 6 millimetres, that's it. It's game over. So to think that, she was tasked to do this.
And she did it.
Absolutely, yes, yeah, incredible.
And, I suppose you're taking questions from the audience, aren't you, in this tour? And I suppose one of the main ones that come to my mind is, when you're doing it, are you thinking, because your children were very young at the time, they were babies, and they're older now, obviously, doing their GCSEs and other things now. But all astronauts must have to think, I may not come back from this, which is a very difficult thing to think about. But as normal people on Earth, I think that's the one thing we think of. Could we leave our families to do that?
It's very true, and it's something that we have to think carefully about. My background was as a military test pilot, so I'd had 18 years flying helicopters and being a test pilot on some quite high-risk trials at times. So it's something that I was thinking about even before I joined the space agency, about how much risk you take in your life and what's appropriate. But I think it's also important to be true to yourself and true to your family about who you are as a person.
Right.
And to me, I felt that it would be wrong if I wasn't being passionate about what was driving me forward. And my family's always been really supportive about what I do.
This is your lovely wife, is it Rebecca,
That's
who you've
right.
been with for a very long time, and you have 2 children. How old are they now? So
now 16 and 13.
So, I mean, fully aware, obviously, of who their dad is,
yes,
and what you mean to the world and what you mean to Britain. You haven't ruled out going back again into space?
No, in fact, I'm working with a company called Axiom Space, who have signed an agreement with the UK Space Agency, and we're trying to put together an all-UK mission back to the space station at the moment, which is really exciting. There's a lot of work to do because this would be commercially sponsored, so not taxpayer-supported, which is a new way of kind of doing space missions in this kind of new era of space exploration.
And the idea that one day we could, if we had enough money, one day ordinary people might be able to do that way off into the future. And what do your children think about that then? I mean, I know it's in a way they've lived with this, but it's still totally extraordinary. And they will probably never meet friends who will understand what it's like to have a dad like you.
I mean, they've grown up, you know, around the kind of space environment.
But they've had you on Earth.
Yes, yeah.
Haven't for most of their life.
They're really excited about it. They're very supportive of it. I obviously spoke to my family before about the prospect of going back again, and it was almost, you know, not for discussion. They said, of course, that's what you do.
Really?
Yes.
Really? And can I just ask, you know, travelling up to Inverness all the way from down here, that to me is a mission, right? But, you know, do you, when you're travelling around and you're driving around, do you ever get fed up with, oh, it's traffic jams, this is taking a bit longer than it should do?
Yeah.
Or is your mind just like, no, no, no? And I always just wonder, are you sort of thinking, what does this look like from space? It's just remarkable, the things that
Yeah, there are times when you're stuck on the M6 and you kind of think, yeah, we travel at 5 miles per second on the space station. I wish I could kind of travel the same speed on Earth at times. But no, I love it. I love travelling around the UK. I've got a very small team that I tour with, and just being out on the road again, meeting people, going from venue to venue.
And I don't suppose you get cabin fever or anything now. You're just like, you know, you've experienced everything
Absolutely.
up there. And I must mention, I did interview you. I was so lucky when you were up in the space station because you were running the marathon and I was running the marathon here on Earth. And I said, well, Tim Peake, I remember speaking up to this screen and there you were from the International Space Station. And I said, Tim Peake, you're running the marathon. You must have the best view of anybody on Earth who is going to be running the marathon this weekend. And you said...
Yeah, unfortunately not, because the ISS treadmill is right next to the loo.
Yeah.
So the view is
You
not
had a view of the
good.
toilet on the space station.
But next to that is the cupola window. So when I got off from running the marathon, I could enjoy the view of Earth.
Absolutely remarkable. Tim's tour starts in Inverness, as we say, on Monday. And honestly, what a remarkable evening of stories that will be.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Looking
so
forward
much.
to it.
And that's a wrap for this video. We hope you enjoyed it. We have all the best moments from the show right here on the channel. And if you like this video, then we think you'll love this one. See you next time.